And we have our, sorry, I didn't think I heard that. We have our co-host Camden. How's it going, Camden?
I'm doing great. I'm living the dream. Had a good day, even though it's freaking cold here. We're doing good. How are you, Jen?
Doing well, doing well.
Good,
Complain.
good.
And then our guest of the hour that everyone really is excited to hear from, none other than Ken Wheeler. How's it going, Ken?
Couldn't be better. This is fun to do. I think this is probably the third or the fourth time I've been on the show with you guys.
I know you're a repeat
Mm.
offender.
No Fender, sure.
We always like having you come on, and you're a good friend either way, but then we always like having you come on and talk about the
Sure.
PRS and what's new and seeing what good juice we can get out of you.
Uh, we're gonna
Any,
keep the drama down now.
any new secrets? Oh, I don't mean drama, but any new secrets, any new things coming up? We like to see what we can
Sure.
get out of you, anything new. But well, for
Sure.
anybody that's unfamiliar, I think everybody knows who you are, but we do sometimes have some new viewers that
Mhm.
are new to the sport, and so they may not know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into competitive shooting, and how you landed doing
Sure.
what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Ken Wheeler. I'm the director of the PRS. Started competitive shooting, I think in 2009, doing some long range, just kind of ad hoc stuff with a couple buddies that we get together every year. Um, then in 2016, I finally shot my first match. That was a PRS style shooting, and actually from 2016 on, I've just been absolutely hooked. I think out of the full Wisconsin series up until this year, I'd only missed like two matches. It's from 2016 to 2023, and then 2024 because of other travels and stuff and having to be gone. I only made it to two matches this year here in Wisconsin. But yeah, we so 2016 I started shooting PRS stuff. 2018 I started hosting some matches, hosting one day stuff here in Wisconsin. And then 2019 we started hosting the Wisconsin Barrel Maker Classic. It was a 2-day Pro Series match. We did that for 4 years, and in 2022 was the last year we hosted that. And that at the end of that year, we ended up losing the lease for the land that we had and had to move everything off. And it was right about the time that we were, um, closing up shop on the property. We started having conversations with the previous owners of the Precision Rifle Series, and it looked like it was going to be a really good fit and an awesome opportunity. So I left. I left my job of being an engineering manager and designing some really cool machines and stuff like that to take this on. So we're getting towards the end of my second year, and we're kicking off the third year. So it's been fun. Um, I'll just answer the question that is probably the most common question everybody seems to ask is like, so 2 years in, you still like it? And um,
Yeah.
I love the sport. I love the people in it. I love what we do for a living, and have the opportunity to work with people like Camden Powers here, who's our marketing specialist and social media guru. I love being able. I love being in this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't think there's a better community on the face of the planet, and I'm very fortunate for being able to live and work in this community.
That's crazy that you're on your third year. It just seems like
Yes.
yesterday that
Yeah,
we were like, I think we were at AG Cup and Shannon like pulled us aside and was like,
yeah.
hey, I want to tell you a secret, but you can't tell anybody yet.
I remember that, and then I remember nothing of the next 8 hours besides for waking up with COVID at a gas station at like 3 a.m.
I also contracted COVID at the exact same time, Greg.
Yep.
And I went to bed that Sunday night. That was the one that Ben Gossett cleaned that Sunday.
Yep.
And I went to bed at like 5:30 at night, and we got up to leave and drive back to Wisconsin at like 4 a.m. And Missy drove the entire way because I slept like from 5 o'clock all the way through the next day or whatever until I got home. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I remember we left that night, like literally right after Shannon told us, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! Ken's awesome. This is gonna be great." And then
Pass
we're
out.
in like some other state in the middle of the night. Like the highway was closed. I'm waking up at some gas station, no clue what's going on. I'm just like,
Feel like garbage. Yeah, that was a good year for COVID.
I think everybody got COVID after that.
Yeah.
So I guess the second most asked question is going to be, do you have the schedule for next year?
You know, it's not private information, but all right, let me back up. Corey, you are
I know how to find
incorrect.
it. I know how to find it.
You are indeed correct. That is the second most asked question. It is not difficult to find if you know what you're looking for. And I guess for those of you playing along at home, if you go to www.precisionrifleseries.com,
Yep. Could you
homepage.
share your screen really fast?
Again,
For
you
the
want me to do
visual
that?
learners. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Let me
Let's see what tabs you have open real quick.
host. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got a bunch. Yeah, would you believe I have stuff that pertains to the schedule open all over my computer?
So weird.
The host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Huh.
Can't be trusted. Can't be trusted.
Gregory.
I just let's see. There's lots of things I can do to discipline.
Oh,
Discipline.
I can put in waiting room, remove, report,
mute. Yeah.
video.
You can put us in
Can
timeout.
you share
Oh.
screen?
We just put us
All
on timeout and
all
Corey and
participants,
just
all
talk.
participants.
Exactly.
Okay, you can share now, Ken.
Oh, can I? Let's see
Yes.
here. Oh, there we go. Now I got to be careful, right? Screen window. This looks like the right thing to share. Oh boy. No. Like I
Wow,
can't
look at all
see what
those
I'm sharing.
pros. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, okay.
You go scroll all the way up.
Yep,
So-
I'm gonna scroll up here. See, yep, so you can see it. So this is the Precision Rifle Series page, right? If you scroll down past the results, here, this is also a fun fact. If you want to see what it looks like on mobile, you can kind of shrink it up side to side, or if you want that desktop experience, make it wider. Upcoming Pro Bolt Gun Series matches, and funny enough, if you look here, there's AG Cup is coming up December 13th, 14th, 15th. The 2025 Burger Snowbird Showdown is December 14th, but there's a view all button here. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop short, Corey. The 2025 Leopold Steel Classic, January 25th.
That's okay. We're almost sold out anyways. But thank you for the shout.
Little extra plug on being sold out. So if you click on that, it shows 43 2024 bolt gun matches. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can actually select any year that you want to see. If you want to go back to 2012, that exists. So if you click on the 2025, you'll see
look at that.
all of the schedule. There's 49 opportunities to shoot so far this year. This likely does have all of the matches in here.
Yeah.
I had a conversation at like 4:30, 5 o'clock tonight about one more that we might be able to squeeze in, but it's not working out. Hopefully I can select this other tab. So this, I might as well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to explain the process in which we add matches or find match opportunities, I guess. So we, to protect maybe protect's not the best word for it, but to make sure that we're not going to step on the toes of any of the match directors that are that have been with us and have earned, have put the time in, earn the respect, earn their dues. We don't put another match that's within like an 8-hour drive, the 2 weekends prior or the 2 weekends after their match. So
Okay.
really, if you had a match on, February 1st, we wouldn't do the 2 weekends before in January and the 2 weekends after in February after the match. And that's just so that we're not forcing shooters to make a decision. Do I go to this match that I've been going to for the last 4 years, or what, now there's one, the next weekend, I'll just wait and stay home, that first weekend and not go to the match that I've been going to every year, right? And that is in a way to protect the match directors, right? That have invested in this, are loyal and respectful to the Precision Rifle Series, the organization. So it's sort of it's a mutual thing, right? So that being said, it's really nice to have a calendar view where so I have an Excel sheet that just is week by week by week, and then I also have a visual. So this is the visual for all the matches this year with the Rimfire finales on there, and it's a purple star, and the Pro Series finales on there this year. This next year is at War Rifles in Pennsylvania, and this helps me understand. So like fitting in gravestone, and this actually does violate the rule by a week, that we're an extra week closer to Corey and Prentice's match, which is almost sold out. But next year, Prentice has agreed to move that up 1 week, and then we don't violate that rule anymore. But like to find a weekend for Jake Graves and his match, I need to click through, find there's a weekend after, and 3 weeks out is Clay's match, and using the tools available, I can, estimate mileage, draw a radius, how many weekends away am I, et cetera, right? So it's flipping back and forth between the map where all the matches are and a calendar, how many matches per week view. I guess notables for this year, I just mentioned it, Gravestone, February 8th. Unfortunately, this Flint Weapon Systems and Hawkins match we can't fit in. Just the schedule will not allow it. So that was the conversation I had this evening. So unfortunately, that's not available. Dan Lentz is getting a match at COSA in Oregon, and that'll be September 13th. This is Derek Davidson in North Dakota is getting a match. It's going to be June 7th. This was an easy fill because in Iowa, which arguably isn't close to North Dakota, but it would have been the closest match. Jim C's match was in Iowa, and he's retiring from being a match director, and so that weekend opened up for anybody in the upper Midwest to host a match. And then we are actually pretty confident this is going to happen. Pancake Lake is a Canadian 2-day match that's coming on board this next year. It's been a 2-day match for several years. It just hasn't been affiliated with anybody. The Manitoba Smoker. This is Zach and Laura Price, I believe. Hopefully I got that right. They've again hosted like our Rifleman's Team Challenge matches and that type of thing, and want to become affiliated with the PRS, so they're going to change their format this year. This is Southern Alberta Precision Rifle League. They've had a 2-day match for years. It's just not been affiliated. And then the Calgary match is Apex Optics, Carly and Van. And that was there last year. And then this year, I'm just calling it McQueen's match. Ryan McQueen's found a piece of property
Oh,
in
cool.
Merritt, British Columbia that looks awesome. We don't know who the sponsor is going to be yet, but very likely it'll be MDT. I would assume.
Really?
Yeah.
We don't know
Um,
who the sponsor might be.
right.
Yeah. So I guess big thing that I got out of all this is Texas now has 3 PRS matches.
Yeah.
Prentice has signed up for Jake's match already. Jake signed up for ours. But for Texas
Prentice is
guys
shooting.
that don't, yeah. No, we actually
Yeah.
moved our center fire club match the next weekend
Whoa.
and swapped Rimfire so he could go shoot that match. We're shooting 2 matches next year. He's shooting Impact with me too.
I couldn't be more proud of him already. Let him know when somebody sees him or talks to him. I'm sure he's not watching tonight, but let him know that I'm thinking
No.
about him.
Oh, he
Yeah.
has commented about 37 times already.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything less. Yeah. Well, let me say one more thing. Shout out to Clinton House too. They're going to be April 12th. That's where the AG Cup is. But Tommy Goodson's hosting a match there this year too.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw that one. I saw and I thought about Greg. So Greg, I thought about you, buddy.
That's going to be awesome. You know I'm going to be there. Ken, are you
Oh my
going
God.
So obviously 49 is bigger than 43.
For those of you that can't
so-
see,
Oh.
Prentice is calling Ken right now.
Yeah. I'm busy at the
He's
moment.
gonna go around the group, call each one of us.
I was about to say, when Ken
Yeah.
doesn't answer, he's going to start calling the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he goes to bed with the kids. So Centerfire looks awesome. What about Rimfire? What's happening with that series?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing if I can figure that out and go back to
Yep.
full there. Yeah, camera. Now I
There
can
you
see
are.
you guys. You guys were way off in the distance. I could barely see you. Oh man, so Rimfire. There's a few minor tweaks happening to the rules this year. Matt Steiner and Greg Stewart are doing a fantastic job managing that. It's Rimfire is kind of an interesting animal, right?
Yep.
Last year, so for the 2023 season, he's making the rounds. We thought Rimfire was ready to take like the next big steps, right? So we're like, all right, 2-day Rimfire matches. And we'd actually had like 10 2-day Rimfire matches scheduled, all, kind of equally distributed across the country. And I think we made it about 6 matches in before we said, like, you know what? This isn't all, because there's some really good Rimfire shooters like Camden and Greg Stewart and Ron Baran and Chris Garcia and others that if there's a big Rimfire match, they're going to go shoot it, right? Like it's that's their deal. But not everybody's like that, and I think overall the community, there's a large population of the community that just looks forward to their monthly Rimfire match at their local club. Maybe shoot another one that's at a club nearby. But that sort of regular kind of like bowling league type thing, right? Where you're getting together with your friends. You're still competing. Like there's still a strong sense of competition there, but there's a lot. It's different, right? And if anybody's been to a Rimfire match, it's way more casual. It feels calmer. It's easier to have a conversation. It's just a different environment, right? And I think that different environment and the shooters are just they want something different out of the sport. So, taking those big steps like we tried to do last year and bringing a 2-day series for Rimfire, it didn't work. So now it's sort of a gradual process, right? Like, possibly upping the limits on, how many shooters constitute having a match, right? Right now the number's pretty low, so it's not just a bunch of guys getting together in their backyard and letting Camden beat up on them, right? And it has to be
She
a little
beats
more
up on
efficient than
everyone equally.
that. Yeah,
Guys and
exactly.
gals.
So yeah, there's just a little more to it. I will say
Okay.
this, and I mentioned this when at the Pro Series finale, when I was talking match growth and number of matches and shooters, and in 2023 we had 469 rimfire matches. In 2024 we had 582.
Good.
I mean, that is, yeah, it's
Yeah.
24% growth, like
Yeah.
it's
24 is good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's incredible.
That's
It's
really
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
matches. What about participation? Did that grow equally or did that grow more? I would assume
Um,
it grew more, like individual entries summed over matches.
yep. I don't have, man, I don't have the average.
Okay, no worries.
I don't have the average per match right in front of me. But Camden's going to remind me tomorrow morning, and I'm going to talk to Travis and get that statistic put on my dashboard. But yeah, well, so active clubs for Rimfire, we went from 93 to 108. So that's a 16%
Nice.
growth, and then
Yeah.
24% growth in matches. So, yeah, yeah, incredible. I mean,
Awesome.
but if anybody shot Rimfire, even coming from centerfire, it's like you're kind of like, man, is anybody gonna take this seriously? And then like you kind of get into it, and you're like, okay, everybody's taking this seriously. It's just different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
thought the same thing, like, honestly, whenever, the Italy rimfire, I was like, oh, is anybody going to take this?
Yeah.
Is anybody going to shoot this? Like, because I had always done center fire, and I wondered I thought it was going to be a totally different group of shooters, and it was some different shooters, but I was shocked some of the center fire shooters that crossed over and how serious they took it. And I was like, oh, like,
Mhm.
they're really taking this serious, and it's like brutal,
Mhm.
brutal competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to reload, you don't have the recoil. So a lot of people think it'll be easier because you don't have to do load development or you're not having to handle the recoil. But to me, it comes with its own set of challenges. Like when you're in 30-mile-an-hour wind with those tiny
Oh my
bullets,
gosh.
Yeah.
it's
Slow, tiny bullets that look like rocks.
slow, tiny bullets. Yeah.
Mhm.
So before we hit like 800 questions, can you tell us about Sportsman and Suppressor?
Oh, those are my notes that are in there.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd key up. Like, is there anything new for centerfire?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm
So
glad you
Ken's
asked,
notes. I was like, all right, I'll read that.
Let's say we don't know these
I
words.
had that question get in there.
It's a shock to us all. Nobody's heard about this yet.
So not that, yeah, some people have heard of this already because I put it out in the all right. So the rules for the centerfire they go through the Pro Series Match Director Committee. So everybody in the Pro Series is in that committee, or anybody that hosts a Pro Series match is in the committee, and they get a vote on this. So I took these to vote, and actually both of these new divisions are requests, or maybe not necessarily requests, but ideas from sponsors and industry, right? And I was given these ideas earlier this summer. That's like 6 months ago, and I got the rule written up, and I held off on sending it over until time for the rules committee to meet and figure out any changes that we're going to make. And I did pass it around the industry, and I had some conversations in person to like kind of feel things out. And I think these are two really good additions. Starting with suppressor, I put the rule out there for vote. If we just like having production rifles or gas guns, or tactical 308 and 223, a fourth division now would be anybody using a suppressor, which you can't. There's always somebody that asks. We get emails all the time. Megan Edgett is our admin, and she answers emails all the time like this, like, hey, I just bought JP gas gun. It's factory rifle. It came in just under the price point, and I'm going to shoot 223. So can I shoot in gas, tack, and production? Like, no, you have to pick one. And production rifle says it has to be a bolt action rifle, so that automatically eliminates that. And then so does tack. It says it has to be bolt action, so you can't do that. But suppressor division, and we had some really good dialogue in the rules committee about this. Not actually making it a division. So that way, if you are shooting a gas gun or production rifle or a TAC class or TAC division rifle, you can still participate in it. So I think it's going to be kind of like an add-on class, so to speak, that we still have a little bit of website work to figure this out, to make it easy on our web developer and to make it easy on the match directors when they upload scores. But we're going to flag whoever's using a suppressor, and it could be any brand suppressor. It does state that it can be Form 1 or Form 4, but it has to be an official suppressor. But at the end of the year, the person with the most open points that earned those points using a suppressor, so including the finale, is going to get a $5,000 check from Silencer Co.
I love it. I love seeing that.
I do too.
As someone that doesn't like brain damage, anything to grow suppressors in the board is a good thing.
I agree, and out of the top, I've been trying to think of this too. Like out of the top 20, there's not many that use a suppressor, so that tells me it does hamper performance a little bit, right? Yeah. Greg showing off.
Yeah. I think once the perception has changed, so Caleb talked about this a little bit offline, but he only practices with a suppressor, right?
Yeah.
Because of past stuff.
Yeah.
I'm getting to be the same way where I can't run brakes anymore. I can't. It was probably an open pistol that did it, but all the other rifles certainly didn't help. But I am so excited for this.
So I guess I'll give you my history. I got a Maverick, an Area 419 Maverick, that I run in like the medium weight configuration with a brake on there, and I absolutely loved it. It made shooting a lot more pleasant.
Yeah.
I then, when I went to Norway, I didn't want to take a suppressor. I could have taken a suppressor with me, and I probably could have gotten home with it too, but I didn't even want to chance it, right? Because I mean, a $1,300 can. I'm like, I'm not losing this. So I actually reached out to Clay and Austin, who I knew were traveling over there. And I said, hey, I want to try an ace brake. I've heard really good things. You guys are going to be there. Can you bring me one? So I shot an ace brake over there, and I shot extremely well with it. And I do think it's a really Austin Bushman uses one, right? And he's a world champ. He can't be wrong.
Sure.
With a lot of guys use it. Yeah, with the cone of shame. Yeah, just like the hat he wears, like a cone of shame. But anyways, enough about Austin. And yeah, so I've been running an ace brake for most of this year, and I do like it, but I know my hearing is suffering, and I can tell. When I went on a hunt last year with Pinch, I sent 4 rounds with 6.5 PRC that had a brake on it without ear pro.
Ooh, never. Nope.
I got the deer. Let's just say that. And Missy can attest to this. My hearing has not been the same. Mostly out of my left. Yeah, what? Exactly. She's listening. She's in the car right now, listening to it. But yeah, so I know that hearing loss because of all this is a thing, and I can't wait to run a suppressor in every match and just be that guy,
Yeah, love it.
So that's suppressor division. Well, it's not a division. We're figuring out how to just make it an add-on so that somehow at each of the Pro Series matches, we can recognize if somebody's using a suppressor or not, and then tally those points up separately.
Should be just like a category, like USPSA does, like lady, junior, and all that.
Right. Well, so we already do that, right? We already have those categories.
Yeah.
But and I would love to help. And you're the practice score guy, right? For the matches.
Sort of. Brian Nelson is who I ask.
So in practice score for and there's other scoring solutions out there as well. I'm not ignorant to that fact, but in practice score, there is a class column that's not used for PRS classifications. That's usually blank. Like, I think we can use that. But anybody out there that wants to help, we need to figure out how to flag those in practice score. And then, you know, when scores are uploaded, we go, aha, that guy used a suppressor or gal or whatever it is. You know?
So from the lives, Bobby Keegan said it would be a category in practice score.
Well, yeah, but categories are already used. Right?
You can always add.
Those are seniors, juniors, ladies. You know,
you can be multiple categories. The way, so yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You can't be more than one.
Yeah. Okay. So
tell us about sportsmen.
So
so,
on that, well, on the suppressor thing, Chet asks, would the 419 Maverick qualify, and in what config would it qualify?
Yeah, that's Chet Winkler. Yeah, that's my man. I can't believe he didn't even just text me on that. But it's a good question. I think we need. I'm going to defer to what the guys at Box Canyon have done. Right, they run that's a suppressor only match, and I know they've answered this question right to make sure that it suppresses enough sound. And I know it's the longer configuration than like the medium or short. And I don't think they allow using a brake on it. So whatever configuration that is or long, you know, as long as you can go with the brake, maybe, I don't know. But I'll defer to Michael Beamer and Ryan Moles because I think they already got this one right.
Gonna have to have the rules written out.
Yeah, and we do, but we haven't specified that already. It might be like it just needs to be a minimum like 7 inches of baffles or 6 inches of baffles or something like that. Here's the thing with bringing in stuff like this too. It has to be simple for the match directors, right? Otherwise this just turns into chaos, right? Like the question that Chet's asking.
I think something that you can use this tool to calculate would be the ideal situation.
Agreed.
And it can't be something that you have to take it apart to check it. I mean, it's got to be something very easy.
So that's a Thunder Beast
This is a serialized suppressor. I don't want to say the number, but I had to pay a tax stamp on this bad boy.
Sure.
I didn't say the number, Corey.
How long is it from end cap to break?
Yeah, Corey, how long is yours?
No idea. Longer than Greg's for sure.
Really?
Now we're gonna have rulers out at PRS matches measuring.
No.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I mean,
for sure.
Anyways, I'll be running this regardless. So.
Yeah. All right, sportsman division. And there's more to the rule. There's more to the rule than just these two items, but in general, this is going to be a bolt action rifle. It's going to be chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor only, and it'll be 13 pounds or less. So this is a little bit of a play and complement to the NRL Hunter, right? Their weight limit is 12 pounds. So this 13 pounds gives a little bit of leeway for a level or a different dope card holder, a different bipod or something like that, right? But it allows for that same rifle to compete over here. It allows for, and this most importantly, it allows for companies like Browning, Winchester, Tikka, Mossberg, right? Like those companies don't stand a chance in production division, and they know it. And I've had conversations with product managers from these companies that say like, yeah, man, I love PRS. absolutely love it. I would love for our company to develop a rifle, but man, even if we build a really heavy, tactical sniper PRS
Yeah.
style rifle, it's just not going to be competitive with an MPA or GA Precision, and so that's just not something we're going to go after. But a 6.5 Creedmoor, that's 12 to 13 pounds, 13-pound max with a magazine, empty magazine. Like anybody makes that, right? Like the only rifle that I think like box stock, that you could go to Cabela's Black Friday sale and
There
buy
you
something.
go.
Yeah.
Nice plug.
That timing is
Yeah.
excellent.
The only rifle that probably doesn't fit in there would probably be a Ruger RPR, right? And I'm guessing that's going to be around 14 pounds with a decent scope on there, right? It's just going to be a little bit too heavy, which I think is fine because most people aren't going to hunt with the Ruger RPR, right? But they might with the Browning X. Well, everybody hunts with Browning X Bolt, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's a light rifle. It's something that the average Joe likely already has. If they want to become really good at hunting, then you need to do two things: become good better at ranging and engaging, right? Which is NRL, and you need to become a better marksman, which is the PRS. Like I believe that formula works across the board. So this is embracing that group of shooters, right? That I would put myself into that category. 10 years ago, I'm like, I just want to go hunting and kill things at like 400 yards,
Yeah.
extreme long
Right.
distances, right? Yeah. And now I mean, that sort of desire is gone away, but like I love engaging steel at longer range now, not so much animals as much, but it should engage that group of shooters, which, if you ask most people why they get into PRS, a lot of them will say that same thing. Like, I want to become better at long range hunting,
Oh yeah.
Well,
We have
perfect.
the same
Bring
group
that
that
rifle.
leaves. Yeah, we have the same group that we don't see the same time of year. And then they come back in January and they see their wives again. We see them again at the range. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this would be a good opportunity for them.
That's awesome. That's cool. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the Sportsman and the Suppressor grow in this new season. But Ken, so kind of spinning off how we talked about the Pro Series schedule,
Mhm.
I want to ask you, you started out as a competitor, then you were a match director, and now as a director of the PRS, you get to hear from a lot of different people. So with all your experience put together, what makes a good 2-day match? Like what makes a good Pro Series match?
Yeah. So this is kind of funny, right? In July or August of 2018, I was on a phone call, and this is so I'd only hosted a couple one-day matches at this point, and thought that I was ready to host a 2-day match. And my buddy Nate Whitehead, who's the match director in Michigan, Centerfire match director, he and I called up Ryan Castle, who is the current director of the Precision Rifle Series, and asked him like, hey, how do we get on schedule? When would be when's a good time of year we can host a match, and what do we need? And at that point there was probably 25 or 30 matches in 2019, maybe more. So
Get the number somewhere.
right, yeah, it's on the website. What's funny then, and it's still true now, what makes a good 2-day match that people aren't going to have like negative memories from is make sure that they're not pooping in the woods. And he said the S word, but make sure they're not pooping in the woods, and make sure they're fed well. Now that's a really simplistic approach, and I know that there's going to be a lot of haters that are like, you didn't say anything about the course of fire. Right, that's the course of fire can be very simple. And in fact, I would, for any new match directors out there, and for the Canadian matches that we're going to be adding, there's going to be quite a bit of education this year with them. Basically, like, simple is good. Simple may be boring from a match director standpoint, but if you put together a straightforward course of fire, like, nobody's going to complain. If you try to make it fair as possible, where you don't have 3 or 4 extreme long range stages right in a row, and then 3 or 4 stages that are short range, and simple targets. If you mix them all together, the course of fire is simple. People, people for the most part aren't gonna walk away from that weekend and have anything negative to say about that. But if you have enough porta potties, you have decent food, or good food, and it's an experience, people come back. So it is very simple, right? And all over the country, there's, like, I'll pick on Corey and Prentice, right? Like, they do a really, really good job of creating a match weekend experience, right? So you get there on Friday, everybody's kind of hanging out together. There's people camping on site. You're fed really well all weekend. Everybody's super pleasant, and you walk away with a really good experience, right? There's matches in other parts of the country where you don't get that, where you show up on Friday, you shoot for an hour, and then you leave, right? And you and your buddy are going to go find a steak for dinner somewhere or something like that. But when we hosted the Wisconsin Barrel Maker, we made sure people were fed from the time they arrived on Friday. We had, you go sight in your rifle, come back, we're going to have food here, we're going to have beer here. There's music playing. Saturday, you show up, we're going to have breakfast for you. Lunch is paid for. Saturday night, every year we had a big thing from our Armageddon Gear, where we would take the party up to the winery, and there's a live band playing, and everybody hangs out, right?
For the record, still one of my favorite matches.
Mine too. Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's, what makes a good match. Put on a straightforward course of fire. Make sure people are fed. They can have a sandwich, Corey. They don't have to have an amazing burrito or taco or
No,
street food. Like,
we gotta have fuego taco if we go to Texas.
you know what?
I have had some good sandwiches. If it's a French dip or maybe a double club with house cut bacon or house smoked bacon, however they say it,
Yeah.
just make me say, man, this looks good. But to your point, I'm glad you had fun, because that's what we want. We want that first time guy that comes out to leave with a positive experience and bring 8 more of his friends out, so they can all have a good time together. Get them off the golf course and come out and have a great weekend in a match.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
go ahead.
Candace.
I have not shot very many pro matches, but every time I come to Texas, it's normally really bad weather, which sucks. But I remember, like, eating crawfish for the first time in Texas, tacos. I don't remember the course fire very much, or the stage. I may or may not have gone at 0 on, but it's the hospitality that you remember with these larger matches.
Right.
There's probably a small percentage of shooters that may go solely for the course of fire because they are trying to, get a golden bullet, that's probably a small percentage. But for the mass amounts of the majority of PRS shooters are doing this for a weekend of fun, right? Most people don't do this because they're going to win. Most people do this because they want to hang out with their friends. They want to see the people across the country that they've made friends with, right? And have fun and have an experience. And so I agree with you. I think the experience is what people look for.
Let's talk about the food truck for PG Cup last year.
That was good. That was really good.
So potatoes with the barbecue and then like the pickled onions on top.
It was really, really good. And I'll say this: anytime I have good food at a match now, I let Prentice know. That's just that's sort of my rule, right? And I make sure everybody knows that I'm letting Prentice know that. Yeah. So, Jen, to your point, you have to balance it, right? Because there's a portion of the population that are taking this as serious as a job.
Yep.
And
for
you
sure.
we do have to cater to those, right? I mean, not maybe cater is not the right word. You do have to
Everyone
accommodate.
needs a
You have
good
to provide
experience.
a product.
Every single shooter should have a good
Yep.
experience. So if you
Right.
do that course of fire that you're talking about, that's fair, that's representative of the sport,
Mhm.
that's a good experience, right? There's nothing that,
Yep.
like you were
Yeah.
saying, 3 long lanes in a
May
row.
the best shooter win, right?
Right.
Yeah,
When
exactly. You give them the chance to win,
right.
right?
But
Everyone's got the same chance.
right, if you know, the course of fire is offset one direction or something like that, where you know there's somebody, you know, it's clearly unfair. Like, well, if
Yeah,
you started over there, you
yeah.
weren't going to win the match, period, right? But if you started over on this side, you stood a pretty good chance. Like, you know,
Mhm.
that's you know that violates the may the best shooter win. And then that leaves them with a terrible experience, right? And
Yeah,
we're all paying the same amount of money to be there, right? Some are
absolutely.
there to squad with their buddies, to have a
Mhm.
good meal, have some good laughs, have a couple beers afterwards, and that is their weekend. That's an awesome weekend. I love doing that.
Yeah,
I also, you know, as a shooter, I like it when I have a really good weekend, and it's like, man, I leave feeling energized and absolutely excited about the sport and the potential season that I might have, right?
yeah.
Um, you know,
As a 2-day match production winner, it probably felt pretty good.
yeah, winning production division.
Yeah,
Yeah, it feels awesome.
yeah.
Yes, but um, you know, so what? Going back to Camden's question, you know, what makes a good match? Man, you have to balance everything, right? You
Mhm.
can't. Um, Otherwise, you're not gonna. And I'm a people pleaser, and that's probably the worst characteristics for me in this role, because there is no way possible to make everybody happy, right?
Yeah,
So you just have to do the best you can with what you have, and that goes for match directors too. If you don't have good food provisions nearby, you know, if there's no way to get a taco truck out there, or you know, like sandwiches are logistically the best thing that you can do. Cool. Put on a great course of fire. Make sure to say hello to every shooter that comes in, you know, comes to your range, you know, to spend a weekend with you, and make sure they feel
Mhm.
welcomed, right? You do the best you
Yeah.
can.
I think
I love it.
what I love about the PRS too is that yes, you do have the Pro Series, which, you know, the maybe I think anyone is willing to shoot a Pro Series match, go out there for 2 days, be with your friends for 2 days, have a larger experience. But then I also know that the Pro Series match draws the more competitive guys. But then I also love how we have the regional series, which is just 1 day club matches for if you can't get away for a whole weekend, or
Hmm.
if you are interested in shooting a 2 day match. Like we do have then the option of shooting then a 1 day match. So then
Right.
to kind of copy my question from before, with a 1 day match, what makes a good then club series match, in your opinion?
Um, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm blessed to be part of a really good community up here in Wisconsin that, you know, that there's a large group of us that have shot together for, you know, 5, 6+ years now. And we all dabble, and I say dabble, like we all shoot a decent number of 2-day matches, and a lot of times we'll travel together, which is pretty awesome. But you know, for 1 day club stuff, like, um, you know, there's, uh, you know, one of the one of the things or aspects of that you have to look out for is making sure that, you know, everything runs smooth and people aren't there all day, right? Because most people traveled from just a couple hours away, right? And they've probably been up since 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They probably do have a 2 or 3 hour drive on the way home. So if you're making them shoot from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., like, not a great experience, right? And I've had my fair share of those. Some that I match directed, right? That just like, man, course fire I put on today was too complicated. And shooter stalled. We have no match flow, and you know, I apologize, folks. Like, there's not enough food or beers afterwards that will ever make up for that, you know. I'm a really big fan of honestly just having a straightforward course of fire. You know, a lot of big, small opportunities. Maybe troop lines or confirmation target type things that have maybe a little more generous confirmation, that allow the guys that come out for their first couple matches to actually get some impacts, but also still have challenging enough targets out there that you do get a little bit of separation at the top. You know, because like for me, I've not won one of our 1-day regional matches. But when I show up at a match, like I feel like, yeah, this could be it. I could win this one, and it's going to be me, or you know, like these 8 or 9 other guys that are right here. Like you know, at the end of the match, we're all talking like, hey, you know, how'd you shoot? How'd you shoot? You know, and you're wondering where you stack up against those individuals. So for me, that's what I really I value the competitive side of things. But as the director of the Precision Rifle Series, like I also put a lot of weight on, you know, what are the characteristics of a match that allow a newer shooter to still make a decent number of impacts. You know, they're not expecting to, you know, get 50% impacts necessarily. Like when I go shoot sporting clays, or if I shoot trap, like if I hit half the targets, I mean, that's an extraordinary day. I don't want to go 0. I did have a round of trap one time that I had 1 impact. You know, I hit 1 bird. Actually, that's the last round of trap I did. So, I mean, that says it, right? Like, I'm just not going to do this.
Yeah.
So, maybe if I gotten 10, like it'd be a different story. 10 out of 25, you know, that's, you know, it's a balance. Yeah. Especially on the regional side. Like, it's just a balance. Like, how do you keep people competitive, but yet still make it friendly and inviting for newer shooters to have a great time. Right.
Yeah. And it's like some club matches, you know, I shoot up until here recently when I've not been able to shoot much at all, but I've shot majority of the Clinton House Club matches ever since they started. And there, you know, especially after the announcement of, hey guys, this is where AG Cup's going to be.
Yeah.
Shooters going from, you know, first match shooting a borrowed RPR to, you know, multiple AG Cup contenders shooting the same match. And, you know, that's a challenge. And, you know, they've done a good job both in the Rimfire and the Centerfire match of keeping it where it's fun for that huge range of people.
Hey, we had some lives come in earlier. Someone's asked about the PRS. Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple that are in the comment section, then y'all can hit some too. But like someone had asked about the dimensions for the PRS Barricade. I know that there's somewhere on the website.
Oh, Corey.
No.
Corey.
Skip that one, Jen.
Corey.
Do it earlier.
I saw that post today and I'm like, my eyeball says this isn't right, but he didn't call it a PRS Barricade. It is.
It's legit. Yeah. No, that's from an actual professional metal fab shop. One of our shooters. Great dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's 3 feet into the ground on concrete.
There's probably some people that really do want to build it to specs. So I know I know I've seen it before. So if someone really did want to build one at home, where would they find it on? It's on the website somewhere, isn't it?
If you go to the rules, so what is it about? Let me get the exact.
I was just going to direct people.
So if you go to the site and then at the top, learn, and then there's pro/regional series rules. If you click on that, it brings up the 2024 rule set, and scroll all the way to the appendix. It is page 31. It says PRS skill stage, PRS barricade, and there's a diagram that was made by our friend Ted Hager out of Iowa, who helped diagram this and write this up. Him and Michael Beamer are responsible for this rule update last year.
You can build your own. I know a lot of people have actually reproduced their own PRS barricades to be able to practice it at home. It's really a great way to.
It's a great training tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
A good
went
one.
to building one
That's
for-
actually my conversation piece in my foyer of my house.
Another
Everybody wants to know,
interesting,
what the hell is that?
another interesting question that I found in there. I'm just picking the ones that I want to do, and then y'all can pick the ones y'all want to do. Someone asked about somewhere he had seen mentioned the possibility of an international match in Iceland. Is this still
Yeah,
going to happen?
I hope so. So we're working on this. So little history. We hired Runar Johnson of Norway last year to be the international director for the PRS. He and his wife Thorin are actually originally from Iceland. They'd moved. Well, at one point they lived in Colorado. Runar was going to gunsmithing school in Colorado, but they moved to Norway. And they're the ones responsible for the Viking Trail. Runar is the one responsible for the European Pro Series series that we're putting on. That it's basically a series of matches that we're gonna have a champion next June. But in August next year, we're so the shooting population in Iceland is relatively small at this point. I met a bunch of guys at the Viking Trail that came over from Iceland. I also met with them again at the World Championship. So it's a growing community there, but there's still at kind of like one day club series level. So with the help of hopefully Runar, if you can find time next summer, we're gonna have a 2-day Pro Series match there. It'll be part of the European Pro Series match series. But then if you're shooting, if you have I'll call it a US Pro Series membership, you can shoot that match and it'll count for US points. So you can shoot. In fact, anybody right now can go shoot any of the EU Pro Series matches, and you're allowed to take one set of points. From that from an overseas match towards your US series standings.
Nice.
Just make sure you
Love
don't.
it.
Yeah, just don't pick a match where Clay and Austin are going to be there. So you travel all the way to Norway and you get like 84 points. Did not help me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, despite almost finishing top 10 in the match. And it was like, yep, well, I didn't come here for points. I came here for other reasons.
Did beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Iceland it was where our stopover was on the way to Norway. So we flew direct from Chicago to Reykjavik and then Reykjavik to Oslo. And flying, like you can fly from a lot of major cities direct to Reykjavik, Iceland, for not a lot of money. It was cheaper this year for me to fly from Chicago to Reykjavik and back than it was for me to fly from Chicago to Boise for the Snake River match in March.
Oh,
So
wow.
Yeah, that checks out.
Crazy.
Yeah, that checks out exactly. But yeah, awesome community. The guys in Iceland, every one of them that I met are super cool. I mean, they're just like one of us. They're just like any of us in this shooting community. They're just awesome people to be around. Yeah.
All right, somebody else's turn to hit any lives if you want, or we
I
can
got you.
on
All right.
ours.
Oh, I'll get one.
If we have a lot of questions.
So one of the things that was like a thing for me when I first started in this was lists from Ryan Hay, and we have a list from Ryan Hay. So I'll go with this one.
I didn't have enough brain power. I saw Ryan Hayes' list.
They're
And I didn't have
pretty
enough
easy.
brain power.
I love lists from Hay. A question that's been asked a lot is when will the qualifiers be posted?
Yeah.
That is literally the next step once the calendar's set. So I have, if you guys were watching at the beginning, we had the map of the U.S., I should say the map of North America with all the matches on there. And last year was the first year we did this, but we grouped matches together that made sense. So, if you can imagine the Texas matches and Oklahoma matches, they're all part of one group. And, out of that group of matches, which is probably 10 of them at this point, they got 3 qualifiers, so to speak. And really the intent of that is that so any shooter in sort of that central region would have one easy opportunity for a qualifier, and then probably an easy opportunity to replace their qualifier score if they need it. So that exercise, now that the schedule is pretty well set, I mean, it's 99.5% set on the website. Now I got to go back and assign qualifiers. And the rules behind getting qualifiers, like I said, you have a group of matches. There's so many qualifiers that are going to be available for that group. If you're a first year match, you're not getting a qualifier. That's just period. If you're a marquee match, one that is a huge event, it's super popular, sells out often. Yes, Corey and Prentice, you guys are probably getting a qualifier based on those prerequisites. Hornady PRC typically gets a qualifier. I mean, that like I've never heard anybody that shot that match didn't say that was an amazing experience. And I think we have Jimmy John's every year. It's amazing experience. Anyways, Collis, Memorial Day weekend at K&M, that is a marquee match for the series. So there are some rules that we put to it, and then there are some business decisions that are made by me and the business and the sake of the sport and the series and our sponsors, that we probably will hand out a qualifier or two to matches that we're trying to draw attention to, or we're trying to give a sponsor some attention, or just rewarding for being good match directors, right? So it's objective with a little bit of subjectivity sprinkled on top, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So question number 2, is AG Cup happening again?
Yeah, we're gonna all be down there December 12th, 13th, 14th, right? Is that the date? Yeah.
Yep. And I think he meant for 2020.
I know what he meant.
Jeez, Greg.
And we all know that Tom will decide if he's doing it or not after the match this year.
And that's how it became this year, right? Tom and I had some heart-to-hearts last year during the season and whatnot, and man, it is a really expensive and time-consuming thing to put on for 30 shooters, 35 shooters, something like that, right? It does draw a lot of attention. You do get the TV. I think Shooting USA will be there again. Man, there's a lot of focus that weekend on what's happening, in South Carolina. There's so many good aspects of it, but there's a lot that comes with it.
Mhm.
And, having done it for five years now, I think it may have run its course. Last year we had a couple other sponsors that talked about maybe carrying it on and seeing if they, want to pick it up. And, most sponsors looking at it are like, well, this is going to be marketing budget dollars. What's my ROI on this? And it is a really tough venture to make work. So if Tom says, at the match, and I'll be down there in December, he says, man, I'm not doing it, I don't blame him. So we'll see, but I'm not holding my breath.
And Prentice Wink wants to know if you have scores for this match yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day, Ken. Every day I get a text.
I know. Question number 4 on the list from Hay is club matches shot in 2024 for 2025, but no regional qualifiers. Will match points be pushed forward to 2025?
Yeah, I got public service announcement, and we're going to send this email out. Camden's aware of this, and Megan Edged, our admin. Order of operations, once we finish the 2025 schedule and have qualifiers assigned to that, we're going to be sending messages out to all match directors, regional series match directors, and say, hey, here's some things to consider, and please, when assigning regional finales, have them done by this time. Regional qualifiers, you should have this many out, etc. But one of the things that dang it, I just lost my train of thought. I think I was looking at Corey.
Sorry, I was reading the questions. I hope you find that train, Ken.
No, Greg, what was the last part of that question again?
Um,
Oh, we lost it.
well, they pitched.
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. No, I think you got it all. I think you answered it all.
No, yeah. So we need to communicate to the regional match directors. Oh, what season the matches fall into? If they took place after the finale, they can be converted to the 2025 season. They don't have to fall into no man's land. But that's going to be part of that message that we send out.
And last question from Mr. Hay is limit on the angle for slanted barricades, safety for 20 to 30 pound rifles. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah. I will go back to what we talked about for Pro Series and regional series matches. Straightforward, where you don't have to where you don't have to answer those questions like I don't feel safe, or I have an arm disability or something, right? That you cannot safely hold on to a rifle on a slanted barricade or something like that. Like it's not fun for the match director to be on the spot and have to answer those questions. I'll say the same thing for strong side, weak side type stages. Now, I like the challenge of the strong side, weak side. We had one that was the PRS skill stage for a lot of years. We don't have it anymore. Part of that is that we don't have, not every competitor in the sport has two good eyes. So what do you do? Right? What if somebody has a disability where their weak hand is extremely weak? And you have to look them in the eye and you're like, well, I guess you can't shoot that part of the barricade, can you? Like, that's not fair. It's a straightforward, fair, simple, is always the best way to go. And so if, you're forcing people to shoot off a slanted barricade and they don't feel safe doing it, that falls on the match director, right? And I would encourage that match director every day not to put themselves into that position, right? One, for a safety concern, but two, to have to answer that question or look somebody in the eye and tell them it's unfair for you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we need an actual number, but I think that should be both on the match directors and the shooters. I don't
Sure.
think,
See something, say something.
Yep. And, for instance, like, me or Corey could probably shoot a 30-pound rifle in a majority of the cases. It'd be heavy, but we could safely shoot a 30-pound rifle, whereas Jen or Camden might not be as safe with a rifle that weighs a considerable percentage of their body weight. So, you just gotta,
yeah.
30 pounds is a lot of percentage of my body weight.
It is, right? It's like, what, 30, 35%?
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
I'll tell you what.
I'm going to save Greg on that.
I have my open rifle is extremely heavy, and it's in one of the new Foundation Samson stocks. It feels awesome. It's badass. It's a 25 GT. I love shooting it. For the gap grind though, my AM this year had a gap PPR production rifle and 6 GT, and that I still have mine from when I shot production all the time. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to shoot the exact same rifle he is. I asked him what his load data was and what bullet he's shooting. Exact same, everything, scope, everything same, right? And that rifle is easily 11 pounds, 12 pounds lighter than my open rifle. And I shot the best I ever shot, period. I finished like 7th in amongst the pros. And it's like, do I need close to 30 pounds to manage recoil, or do you just manage recoil?
I don't know about all them heavy rifles. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely a limit. But we could probably have an entire episode on rifle weight.
We could. Yeah. I don't want to be a part of that either. And I'm not going to put weight limits in the rules just yet until there's an argument on it. And yeah. So we can move on.
All right. We'll see if we can kind of speed up a little bit through the second half of the show. Considering we're over an hour already. What are 2 things you're providing you're planning to provide more value to the casual shooter to bring them from just showing up to a match to joining PRS as a member.
Right. Yeah. And the argument there always is, having your scores tracked.
Mhm.
I'll say that the organization over the years has made the choice to not make memberships mandatory. And Corey, I could ask you this, in other shooting disciplines, is having a membership mandatory?
Yeah, so TAC games, no. USPSA, yes, for level 2 and above. So area matches, nationals, things like that.
Mhm.
3-gun, it used to be. There is no governing body now. Um, I will say that Camden and what she has done has been a very convincing reason. Um, the amount of stuff that I see and knowing kind of the back end of that, there's a lot more happening at matches from the PRS than used to happen. And there's a big shift in the community, I think, as well.
I hope there is. I mean, we're trying really hard. So yeah, Camden and yeah, Megan and yeah, our entire team, like, yeah, we are trying, and I hope it's seen that way, right? That it's not, we're not, or I don't know what the alternative would look like, but
You're not paying her enough, that's for sure.
I I agree. Camden's doing an outstanding job, and I love working with her. And I think our social media and photographs and all that, reels, our relationships with sponsors and all that are just they are amazing today, in large part due to Camden's presence on our team. So yeah, I agree, Corey. um, yeah. So I mean, back to the question, right? How do you provide more value to the casual shooter, right? I and I'm thinking about the casual shooter that I run into at our club series matches, right? Both
Sure.
Rimfire and Centerfire, and um, you know what? There's guys that just want to come out once a month and shoot, just to make loud noises and maybe hear steel
Yeah.
ring, and just being present and having a healthy organization is, I think, probably underappreciated by those guys. But that's okay. If that's all you want to do, and um, as long as you're talking about the organization or the sport, in a positive manner, I'm okay with that. Like, you don't need a membership to do this, to have a good time. But if you're like most of the personalities, where very competitive in nature, and you wanna track your progress, you want to see how you do. I mean, that is really the value add for buying a membership, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's lots of other reasons for buying a membership too. Like, man, this year we and I'll say this as a plug. We have some awesome membership shirts. They arrived finally in like October. Despite having ordered them, despite having ordered them in the first quarter. We did a lot of fancy things with these shirts, and to make them reasonably priced, they had to be manufactured in a part of the world that was maybe a little unsettling. I don't know how to put it, but a little coup happened. Their prime minister left the country, yada, 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 whatever it is. They had to be air freighted out. They couldn't get a boat in. And this held up things for a long time. The plug is, if you're a PRS member, and we have something like 400 regional shirts left and like 500 or 600 Rimfire. I may have those flip flopped. But if you're a member and you're watching this, or if you have buddies that are members, tell them to log into the PRS site, go to your shooter dashboard, and you're going to see a promo code in there and a link to the store. And you click the link, and it's going to show membership shirts available for $50. You put your promo code in there, and it makes it $0. You just pay for shipping, get your shirts. They're really nice shirts. I mean, super high quality. Like the tag on the inside is, I mean, it looks like it was made like by me in the Precision Rifle Series factory, you know, sewing special tags and stuff in there. They look great. But 2025 is fast approaching, and I do not want to like have 500 shirts left over sitting in a warehouse, actually not far from you, Corey, in Texas. So
Yeah, it is not a
please.
tax write-off.
No, that is saying, you know, a huge population of members. Thank you for your membership. I flush that money down the drain, and I have T-shirts to show for it that are dated with the wrong year.
Just take a shirt, cross it out.
Oh, when Missy hears that, and I know she knows it, but she's probably gonna give me an earful when we get home.
Oh. I'm trying to figure out where to go do this. Anyway, next question. Next question. Do you think sponsors are getting their money's worth at matches?
At matches. All right. So I guess let me. I'll try to. I'll do my explanation for you know, how we try to invite sponsors to participate with the sport. There's three really good ways for sponsors, you know, and I consider these sponsors to you know, be pretty well established companies, right, that want to get involved in the sport. One, sure, partner with the organization, you know, which comes with a financial and a product requirement. So we ask for a check, right, to help pay for things like Camden, or you know, pay for us to get to finales, pay for us to keep a website up, which is crazy amounts of money, right? Like there are regular expenses to keep the lights on. We ask the sponsors basically to pay for 50% of what all of our expenses are. The other money the other 50% come from memberships and score fees and that type of thing, right? So sure, partnering with the PRS is a great way for a sponsor to get involved. That comes with a financial obligation, like I said, and then product. So if you're a Rimfire sponsor, we ask that you give a, you know, X amount of product for the Rimfire finale. That's a way that we can basically guarantee that we're going to have a good prize table for each one of the finales at the end of the year, right? Another great way for sponsors to get involved is to sponsor a match. Louisville does an excellent job at this, right? Like they sponsor both Corey and Prentice's matches there in Texas, and they have a couple other matches spread out across the country. MDT is the same thing, right? Short Action Customs.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that's a great way for a sponsor, and typically that sponsor is also present at that match, right? Which is it helps a lot, and this
Yes.
is hopefully there's sponsors watching this too, right? That would understand what we're talking about here. But the third and final way to get involved is like, one, be present, but also, you know, have a team of shooters that are people that are good character, that can represent you and your brand all over the country. I think, and I'm going to say Louisville again here, just because there's clear evidence for those of us that have been in the sport for 5+ years. Louisville was non-existent in precision rifle shooting unless you were likely retired military or law enforcement, just because they have so many contracts with Mil LE stuff that those guys are really comfortable with that product and would run it, right? But those guys were few and far between, really, until like Nick Killica from Louisville got involved. He's a marketing manager there for shooting sports, and you start seeing him at matches. He starts building a shooting team of really good quality character people, and they're at matches all over the place. And they go from being non-existent in the PRS to being the #1 scope in the PRS in 2 to 3 years, right? And I think, you know, so what's the question? You know, what's the value of a sponsor at a, you know, do they get good value out of a match? Some do. Some I think will do a little more than break even. right? And what we're talking about is marketing dollars that are already budgeted, right? And I think like a good number for a company is to spend 5% of your gross on marketing dollars. So if you're a $100,000 company, that's $5,000, right? They're going to spend on marketing.
Mhm.
Now we're dealing with companies that are 10 times that, right? So say $50,000 or $500,000. Is it worth it for them to spend a couple grand to buy lunches at a match? Probably, especially if it's recognized in the match book, it's recognized by the match director. The match director does a good job publishing that information, right? Because that's all about being present. So one match, do they get a good ROI? It's probably a small piece of a bigger piece of pie that they're working with, right? It's all a big puzzle, and it's one piece.
Yeah, I think the companies that get the biggest ROI are the companies that go all in. Like Loophold's a great example of it because, you have at least two guys from their company that are like a key part of our sport now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you don't, for us PRS shooters, we don't think of it as Loophole, this big company. We're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call up Brad and Nick and get one of their scopes.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah,
all successful companies are like that, though. You think about,
Yeah.
John Kyle and Amy Lynn.
Yeah.
Think about Phil Cashin and NPA, like all the ones
Team
that
NPA.
are really successful. Everybody knows their faces.
Yep.
And their jerseys and all their team
And their
members
shooters,
and their
right.
matches. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just always easier to buy something for us shooters when it's, not, Jim's blah 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 off of the internet, but like this person that I met, this person that I can talk to about my product, and then we all have our friends that we're the gun person, so they ask us questions, and we say, "Oh no, buy this. This is what I use. It's great," and it just kind of goes on from there and there and there.
There have been numerous companies that have asked, like, hey, how can we get in? Like newer companies have asked us, like, how can we get in? How can we want to, you to advertise or whatever? How can we get in? And we're like, dude, you got to go to matches. Like you have to go to matches and get your face out there. You can't just send product or, like you have to get people in PRS are very loyal and you have to get out there.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it takes all parts of it, right? Like, there are companies that purely just support the PRS organization. I am very proud of those companies, and Camden and I are going to do our best to spend their marketing dollars wisely through our marketing channels, right? Now they aren't, they're those companies that only do that and aren't engaged in match sponsorship or just being present, like it might not be a great value for them, right? Like I think you kind of have to do all three to really get the most out of your marketing dollars, and that's what we're talking about here, right? Like some people just don't understand, like, oh well, they give the PRS money to do this, right? And then, like, let's say it's a $5,000 agreement. Like, they go, $5,000. Like, it is now my job and Camden's job to make sure they get $10,000 in value back for that, right? That could be through photography. That could be through advertisements or, organic stuff that we publish on Facebook. And it's not hard to give them $10,000 worth of value when, if a small company that doesn't have any marketing and is going to try to do something, and if they hire an outside consultant, and if they talk to that consultant for 2 hours of time, they're going to get charged $10,000. So we're a very affordable way to do specific marketing towards the community that they are, specifically want to be a part of.
Yeah. So live real quick, and then
I know what you're going to ask, because Derek Warren is incessant on the scoring system stuff, and I am happy to talk about it because I have talked about it all year, lots of conversations, and hopefully hopefully I can kind of put this to bed here. So yes, Derek Warren, I'll just read his question here. Posting again. Any thoughts on finally updating the point system, like to the 50-50 point system, like the World Championship match, or at least start counting 4 to 5 matches? So what Derek is referring to here is trying to create a little bit of separation at the top of the point system, right? So we don't have 5, 6, 8 people at the Pro Series finale, all starting that match at a perfect 300 points. Is that ideal? I would say that is not ideal. And I've heard from lots of people that they would argue this to the grave. Do I think Nick Adarzi, who shot 4 matches in a row, won 4 matches in a row, which were very difficult Western style matches, and he goes into the finale at 300 points? I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think he should have had some gap over, and I'll just say Jeff Gary, who shot very well all year, had 3 ties, and then finally won the MPA match, but also had 300 points, right? 2 very different 300 points going into the finale. Should there be some separation? There probably should be. Is the 50-50 point system the right solution? I can tell you from looking at analysis from 3 different individuals who all provided this to me. I provided some scores so that they could more easily calculate it. It doesn't change anybody at the top. The top 20 may move around a position or 2, but it doesn't change anybody in the top 20. And that's, my whole preface there was, how do we let those, the guys at the top, differentiate themselves? Well, 50-50 doesn't do it. All it does is it punishes guys who get a lot of points, say shooting, I'll pick on Prentice, it is what it is.
We got points.
Yeah, exactly. High scoring matches, right? Which would be, you could say Prentice, Texas matches. It could be Silent Night. It could be Twisted Barrel, where guys that, let's say live in that area and are going to shoot those matches because they're in their backyard. If they earn 90 points, now if you go to a 50-50, they drop way the heck out, right? Like they may go from having a 270 to 250, and it's like, hey, feeling pretty good about this whole PRS thing and shooting, and I like what we're doing. This is great. And I don't even qualify for the finale because I just shot the wrong matches. Like, I don't want to punish those guys either. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that the guys in the upper Northwest that are getting skull drugged by Nick Adarzi at every match are getting punished match after match after match, even though they may have 3 top 10s and only have 250 points. They just haven't earned it. I do believe there's a solution out there that might work. I've talked with Joe Thielen and Miles Neville of Hornady. I had a conversation with them last Thursday that they've tried to address this situation. I'm not calling it a problem right now because I don't think it's broken. But and I'm open to listening to anybody. Michael Trong was the first one to bring it up to me this summer, and he did a great analysis. I didn't ask him to do anything. He shared everything with me, and it basically proved the same thing. Matt Sabaka, he did it for me as well, and Alan Ernst, he addressed it with me at the finale and showed me a chart, and it all pointed to the same thing. It doesn't differentiate the guys at the top. Now, there are some other creative solutions out there where maybe you do, one that Clay Blackadder has suggested to me a bunch of times is you take top 3 scores, and then you take a 4th score that's the average of all the rest. So now what that does is anybody, if you only shoot 4 and God forbid you had an ND and that 4th score is a 0, or, like you end up with very severe punishments, right? For having bad scores. Now it does encourage you, let's say, out of 4 scores, you have to, you have 3 plus an average. So it's going to count all 4. Out of 5, it's 3 plus 2, out of 6, maybe you get a chance to drop 1. So if you have 6 matches, you take your top 3 and average the other 2 and you drop your worst. Maybe that's a solution. The The guys at Hornady had a really clever idea too. The best that I can see going forward is I'm going to try to pull together a committee of some pretty smart individuals. I have a list of 10 names of people that I'd like to involve in this and pull together and give them some requirements. Like, sure, let's see if we can get a little separation at the top. Let's make sure we're not going to punish a whole bunch of our mid-pack shooters, because let's face it, the top 20 guys, if this sport was the top 20 guys, it would be like an AG Cup all over again, right? Which is very difficult to sustain, and it's probably not going to continue because there's not a lot of ROI and a lot of value there for the sponsors and the director of that series, right? The heart and soul and what this sport is made of is everybody behind those top 20, top 50, top 100 guys, right? The guys that, are coming out shooting 3-4 matches a year, seeing how they do, liking to see some improvement. Are they under any sort of false impression they're going to take up a golden bullet? No, I'm not going to win a golden bullet. I love shooting in this sport, and I love hanging out with my friends and meeting people at matches, and that's what the sport's all about. So does it, is this is something broken right now? Man, ask the 80% of our sport that says piss off. Sorry for the rant, but are we addressing it? Yeah, we're going to take a look, man. If somebody thinks there's a problem somewhere, I'm not going to ignore it, and we'll do the best we can to take a look at it. Do I think it's broken right now? I do not.
So
sorry, was that episode a little ranty? If that
no, that
totally,
was good. That's honest.
It is, but I don't want to crush the spirit of the shooter's mindset here, right? Like, we should be having a good time, right? Greg should be drinking beer. Like,
someone asked a question. It's all good.
He just
well, to be fair, I'm the one that read the question and got a little bit amped up over it.
Beforehand. I mean, we're gonna ask it regardless.
Well, sure. Yeah, it probably was in there. Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's good though. This is part of why we do this though, so people can ask their questions, that they're burning questions they want to ask. And it puts you out there where they can. So
burning questions. I have to ask this because like 8 people have texted me. And feel free to skip a rant on this one. Will there be a match in Florida? Maybe Altus.
Yeah. So we were lucky to be able to fit in Jake Graves in the central region. Like, there was and we, like I said, we violated slightly one of the rules, right, to be able to slide him in there. Dude, the Southeast, thank you. The Southeast is incredibly tough to be able to fit in matches. Like, and there is a strong population of shooters in the Southeast, and I would love to be able to just slide it in there and be done. It's not happening this year. The Altus is getting some more regional matches. So this year they had one in September. Next year they'll have a few. James Gilliland is the match director there. Awesome. Bless you, Craig.
Very cool.
I'll say this. Especially shooting or living in a part of the country that has limited number of matches, right? We only have one regional series up here in Wisconsin, or one place to shoot regional matches. If we want to, for me to go to a 2-day match, I'm driving 6-8 hours plus. Now, I mean, if you lived in Oklahoma, like, man, if you drive more than 3 hours for a 2-day match, like, you're traveling a long ways. So I don't have a lot of empathy for trying to slide in more matches, but I do recognize that we have a huge population there. I'm committing to this, that in January, I'm going to pull together a committee of people to look at the calendar, and with really looking at 2 things. One, I'd like the finale to be a little earlier in the season. I think
Thank
there
you.
was,
Ooh.
yeah, right. Well, part of it's for hunting, right?
Yep. Yep.
And again, going back to why most people got into this sport, right? Like they wanted to be better shooters and hunters and all that. Greg, would you take it easy? You guys, you have to be watching him to see him sneeze, sneeze, sneeze. But so let's pull the finale, hopefully up till September, right? And then we probably have a week or two off before and after the finale, right? And then start the season over. But then also look at some of the matches that just don't make sense for what time of the year they're in. One of them we were able to address this year, and we moved the Mississippi the Magnolia Meltdown match from August, and we moved it, I think, up to March 29th. Now that makes sense, right?
A lot of people will have a lot less heat stroke.
That's what I mean, right? And a lot better time. I mean, the PGA does a good job of this, right? They have a lot of warm weather weekends or whatever, tournaments, and then they move north and then they come back. Now, in doing so, we might this isn't going to work out for everybody, unfortunately, and I don't know what the penalties will be on matches, but doing that, like, either we're going to have some still uncomfortable matches, right, where it's too hot or too cold or something along those lines, or people with 2-day matches might have to give one up or something like that to build out this more ideal scenario. But the way the calendar is right now, it's just been a pile on, right? Like, at one point, we only had a dozen matches, and then we did everything we could to add matches to it, and we were taking every match possible. And now it's to the point where I'm like, I don't have room. We're going to have 49 matches this year, and we only do that across like 35 weekends.
Right.
So you have a lot of double up, even a couple weekends where there's 3 matches going on at the same time.
There's 3 in April for us, but that's a good thing. That shows the sport is growing. If the sport can support that, and geographically they're separated.
Yeah.
If the sport supports it, that's amazing for sponsors. That shows them that we had 3 huge matches, and they all
on one
filled.
weekend. Yeah. Well, that's they all filled. That's the part that needs to be balanced, right? Like, putting out a bunch of matches that only have 60 shooters at, like,
right.
That's not, and shooters probably don't want to hear this, but that's really not good for match directors. Like, you cannot sustain doing a match for 60 shooters. You're losing money, and at the end of the weekend, you might have a bunch of people that say, "Oh, I had a great time." And, like, my wife couldn't be more upset at me right now because I spent the last 6 weeks planning on this, and then I paid $5,000 to put the match on, or $10,000.
Well, I can't do all the things that I want to do. Like Justin and Ruth, when you look at, their finale, all the crazy things that you do, that doesn't happen with sub 200 people.
Right. Exactly. And everybody who was there said that was an amazing experience. That was a fantastic match. Right. And do you want more of that, or do you want, 60-person matches where, man, pack your PB&J because we don't have lunch. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. So Travis asked a question about PRS strategy for bringing in more lady shooters.
Camden Powers is right here. Like, say hi, Camden. It does come up in conversation, right, Camden? Like, we have talked about, like, and actually Sean Utley, who is a consultant, has done a good job of asking this question as well, right? Like, what kind of marketing materials are we putting out there? Do you put out I'm going to pick on Sam Carlson, right, from Thunder Beast. Like, dude is a huge gym dude, who could look very aggressive, full of tats. Like, I love Sam. He's a very good looking dude. But in photos with him and a rifle, like, it may look a little too aggressive and not appealing to juniors and female shooters, right? In wrong light. Like, it could be, so there are choices being made like that, you know, when we're putting content out there, like, you know, where it's going to be seen quite a bit, like you choose the right photo so it looks more inviting to a larger population of people, right? I mean, that's sort of marketing 101.
Having done that for 5 years now, and having seen people like Kate go from her first match holding the tablet from her dad to now Chad will never win another match they're at.
No,
It
no, no.
the like payoff in terms of how cool that is for the sport is
Yeah,
unreal.
yeah.
And it's just showing more of that. Like, is it a hard sell for you? Like if I say, hey Ken, you want to go shoot some guns? Not a hard sell. It's gonna
No.
happen either way.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So next, moving to the next topic, because we're going to be here all night if we don't. So how important do you think it is? We've asked you this before, but how important do you think it is for shooters to also either RO matches or host matches so that they
Yeah.
have an understanding?
Yeah, I actually should mention too that Missy's out of town and I have the kids here at the office with me and it's a school night and it's like 8:46. And I know
Yeah.
Missy's probably been thinking about this. I cannot believe she hasn't said something via text yet. Maybe she
Yeah.
will here in a moment, but I'm sure she's like, seriously, Ken, you can knock the long-winded stuff off. Like get after it here. Which I deserve every bit of. So ROing. Man, I'll tell you, I'll tell you my experiences ROing. And in our club matches, if I don't have a lot of times for club matches, I try to bring a few extra people there to just get them into the sport. So like in August, I had myself plus 5 others that I can't believe it took me a few hours of finding rifle parts and trying to figure stuff out and borrowing a few things and scopes and stuff. But I was able to pull 5 rifles together, bring 5 people into it. And they had a great time. But most one-day matches, I try to be squad mom. You know, we don't have dedicated ROs at our regional matches, but I mean that's just how you get back, right? And it's a responsibility I think most veteran shooters should take on. But I think you do learn quite a bit from even just being a squad mom. But if you go to a 2-day Pro Series match and RO, and I can't tell you how many people have still come up to me. I think actually I remember the last person that said it was Garth Olivier, who at the time was living in South Africa. He now lives in the States. But he told me at Worlds, he's like, I remember the first time I met you. It was at the 2019 Pro Series finale. You were ROing stage 18. Like somehow people remember that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's important to relationships. I think, especially if you're a good shooter or if you're somebody that's prominent in the sport, take a weekend and go to a match. And this is the best way for you to be seen to everybody at that match, right? And you're giving back. If you're a new shooter, pay attention to what shooters do. Like I can't believe how much I learned just watching at that 2019 Pro Series finale. Getting to see, you know, I mean, there is a huge difference between the first 3 squads and all the other squads behind them. And like squads 4 to 20 are all still really good shooters.
Mm-hmm.
But there is if you're paying attention, there is a huge difference. Or my first experience RO in the AG Cup, 2019. It was at Arena, and I watched I watched a lot of people struggle. It was like 1,000-yard KYL or something like that. It was big, small, and maybe it was 2 shots at each or something like that. And if you didn't find it on the first shot, you were basically like your host. You're gonna be really limited on your potential points. And I watched Tate Streeter burn his first shot at the dirt, base of the T-post, found his shot and ran from there. And it was like, that is one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life. And But I watched like 10 AG Cup shooters right before him who are all extremely good shooters, fail to find the target, and I mean, it's memories like that I man, you don't get that unless you RO once in a while, right? Or like, get a chance to watch shooters make decisions on the clock,
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot with that.
Mhm.
All right, so I think that we have a couple of other questions left, but I think we're realizing that we have all chit chatted so much that I think we're gonna just
I
wrap
don't
up
feel like
this.
you guys have talked at all. Why am I the only one talking here?
Well, I was
There's
trying
a
to be
question for
nice
us.
about it. Maybe by the we, I mean the you part of we, but that's okay.
Sure.
You're the part of we that everybody wants to hear anyway. So we're gonna just kind of roll the last questions up with just like tell us kind of what your goal is or where you would like to see PRS go in 2025. Like we're at the end of the season of 2024, so we're on the horizon of 2025. So kind of tell us, what are your wishes for 2025? Where do you want it to go? What would you like to see it?
Yeah, starting last year in 24, I mean, of course, like I dreamed of like where this thing can go, and I've talked about it at both the Pro Series finales now. I the sport has a ton of room to grow, and I find myself dreaming about where things could really be in say 10 years. But it's very small incremental steps, a little bit at a time, right? And it's this sort of engine that takes it takes the shooters, it takes the sponsors, it takes the match directors, and we all need to just do a little bit more to get this thing really moving, right? Like the sportsman division, that's going to add a couple shooters to the sport this year. That's a small change that we can make that can do that, right? Even the suppressor division, there will be growth in each of these suppressor companies because we just, I mean, that's a small thing. There's some people out there like, suppressor division isn't going to do anything for me. I don't even care about it, whatever, right? And there's a good population of shooters out there that are like, you know what? I wanted to buy a silencer titanium suppressor, and now it's time I'm going to do it. I'm going to shoot all season with it, right? And they're going to buy one, or they're going to buy a Thunder Beast. They're going to buy something, right? And that little boost to those sponsors is gonna encourage them to do more with our sport, put more on prize tables, right? To partner with us as an organization, or maybe sponsor a match. They're going to do a little bit more. We'll probably work on a little bit of marketing together. That marketing is going to pull a few more shooters in, right? Some of these fringe shooters that maybe are guys that have a really nice hunting rifle, or maybe bought an Impact Action, or even better, an MPA PMR Pro, right? It's a beautiful rifle that a lot of guys probably own. They take it to the range, they shoot at 100 yards, 200 yards, 500 yards, whatever the range is capable of, but that's all they do, and they don't compete. They have all the equipment to compete. But if we can do a little bit of marketing and they see this and go, man, it's a really attractive sport. It doesn't look like it's that hard to get into. I don't feel like there's any barriers to overcome, they're saying I can check my ego at the door, and everybody's super helpful. Like, we do a little bit more marketing. We bring some more shooters in. They buy some more product. The sponsors put more on the prize table, right? Like this thing can keep going and going and going. So I think, and we're starting to realize some of that now. I think the changes we made in the last year for our social media and some of the digital assets and stuff that we're giving back, the sponsors are starting to really see a lot more value in the sport as a whole, and partnering with us, that they're going to be giving back more. The more that we can keep doing that, the more that the dream of this thing becoming just a huge professional sport that we can all be proud to be a part of, it becomes real. You know, if you came to either one of the finales this year, you'd see that we purchased a beautiful enclosed. It's a big, nice black on black trailer. It's beautiful. You know, and I felt it's weird. I felt very proud and ashamed to show up at the matches with it, because like I'm still trying to fight this stigma that I think has been around the PRS for the last 5 or 10 years. That's like, oh, but there goes my membership dollars, or, you know, they're just spending everything, right? But I'm also very proud that it's putting a really professional look to the sport that we can all be proud to be a part of, right? And I'm just talking about a trailer, but what happens in 5 years when we show up to a finale and like we have a semi truck, right?
Yeah.
And the semi truck, you know, turns into a stage, and it's a huge production. If you've been to a Bassmasters Classic, like that's what you see. Those guys are out there catching fish, not even shooting anything, right? Like, but they have several semi trucks. Like, why can't that be us, right? But it takes one, attracting more shooters into the sport, right? And we do that through marketing. We do that through more matches, right? We do that through adding divisions, right? That may be attractive for new shooters to come in. We do that through partnerships with sponsors that may not be traditional sponsors we have. Eberly Stock, great company. Man, the Upranger backpack has been out forever. Very likely, finally this next year, it'll be the official backpack of the PRS. Like, it looks like it was designed for PRS, but it's been out probably longer than the PRS has been in existence.
Yeah.
But there's a great company that has a huge following in the military and hunting backgrounds, right? Now, out of those military and hunting backgrounds, how many of those folks do you think would love to shoot PRS, but maybe just don't know what PRS is? Well, here we have a company that is going to market towards PRS, and their audience is going to see it, and you're going to have guys that are like, wait, what is this? Man, I need to know more about this, right? And investigate, grow the sport, come in and shoot with us, right? So it's a slow moving train, but if we're all doing our part, sponsors, the organization, Camden, me, Megan, you know, the match directors, we're all encouraging this and working together, like, it very well could turn into, you know, that vision that's like Bassmasters, where, you know, we have huge marquee matches that are a huge production. Everybody's coming out, you know, to be a part of it, right? And that's what my dream is. That's where my goal is, you know. But it's not what I like. Would I like to buy a semi truck this year and show up at the finale next year? Yeah, I would be divorced if that happened. Missy, I know you're listening. I'm under no illusions that I'm going to do that. But in 10 years from now, we don't know.
That's hilarious.
All right. I do have, well, first,
One more question.
Loving the vision. I'm there. And like, you can get used semi trucks for pretty cheap, just saying.
We're not ready.
Yeah, you need a special license and whatnot and tax stamps. Oh no, that's suppressor division. So Bobby Keegan's asked earlier, and I meant to ask it, and it was in with a whole bunch of questions, because we need to do these chat with our PRS director shows quarterly, not yearly, so that we get less questions. Just throwing that out there. On Sportsman Division, we said 13 pounds and under, 6.5 Creedmoor. Is that it? Can it be a totally custom built rifle? Does it have to be off?
Oh yeah. I would encourage people to build. Well, I would encourage people to do everything, right? Like, I would love to see new shooters come into this with that Browning X-Bolt, right? And then put a new barrel on it, right? Support the barrel makers that support us. You know, put it. I'm assuming you can buy custom stocks for Brownings, maybe not. Remington 700s for sure, right? Like, yeah, I absolutely. I mean, that is part of that vision, right? That makes all of this go around, right? The partners that we have, the best partners we have, are also the ones that benefit from the, you know, guys trying to improve their equipment, right? I'm not turning my back on anybody that has a, you know, a box stock Tika or something like that, but By the way, like I'm just gonna Savage Axes.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
have what is it, 379, right? Every year I get a Black Friday ad like this, and I look for the cheapest scope rifle combo I can find, hopefully with a box mag. But I have to like force myself not to go to Cabela's and buy next year's PRS rifle and just do it. Right. And I would, if anybody else wants to do this with me, maybe we have a money pot or something like that. And we all put some money in and we all shoot it for say 2 matches or something like that. And whoever finishes the best gets the pot. But I would absolutely love like $450 max. That's all you can spend, scope and rifle.
I have.
That's
Right.
I don't
You
even
do.
know how to
Got it.
how to aim. How do you aim with this at 1,000
A
yards?
duplex reticle? I don't know. But you just, you take the shots you can take.
I'm gonna get like a 7, if that.
I think it'd be fun, but yes. Anyways, we should probably wrap this up and I could get my kids home into bed.
Yes,
before
it is
busy.
super
That's
late.
what I was about to say. Okay, we're gonna do very fast shout outs. Greg,
The PRS in Ken.
Corey,
Thank you, buddy.
Corey,
Yeah, Camden for being awesome and always posting the pictures immediately after the matches so I can at least see what's happening.
You're very welcome.
She's good at that.
all right, Camden,
I'm gonna do my family. They've been incredible this whole season. Now we have some actual family time since we're in the off season. So shout out to them. I'm very thankful for them.
all right, Ken,
Yeah. I'm gonna say Missy.
I was about to say,
this-
you better say you're one.
yeah, this all couldn't be possible without her support. And I mean, we're in the stage of life where there's lots of challenges at home with the kids and athletic stuff, and with me being gone for like 7 out of 10 weeks this fall to put on the worlds and a couple championships. I'm very blessed that I have her support and be able to do this.
And I am just going to shout out you and Missy. I've loved y'all to death since the first barrel maker that I went to, not knowing anybody from Wisconsin or even how to pronounce it or eat cheese curds. I called them cheese sticks and got harassed. But anyway, loved y'all to death then. Went to 2 barrel makers up there and had a blast at both of them. And I love what y'all are doing with the PRS. Always love getting to see y'all.
Thank you.
Seeing what y'all are doing. So thank you for coming and spending a couple of hours of time with us. And Missy, don't kill him. I'm sorry if the kids are cranky tomorrow. Don't beat them up for that one. So that is going to be a wrap for episode 453. And we will see everybody next time.
Thank you.